All right, all right, all right. Let me know if you see me in the group. Drop some comments. It is 9 o'clock and ooh, it just came up for this transformation session. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. I'm just double checking here. Let's see. Want to make sure we are going live. We are live. Yes. All right, we are just going to wait until we're going to give it a few minutes just to let everybody come on who is joining us live. Join us in on Facebook. We've got a session to unpack today. Very, very excited. But while we wait, I have a question for you. I was thinking about this the other day. And whoever you are, however you made your way here, if we were in a movie together, what kind of movie would we be in? Put your comments below. This is one of my favorite questions right now, I think. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. If you want to know mine, let me know. So, I have been this has been such an incredible week. This is a week of finalizing my book with pictures, title, cover. All of that is starting to come together. That's been so exciting. And I met somebody that I sparked with. And I don't know if you've ever had that feeling with somebody, but it's just like all of a sudden when you're like into each other's energy and it just like this just creates this connection and this spark. Well, that spark has led me a lot of beautiful places in my life. It has led me here. And at first in my life, I was scared of it. And I didn't know what it meant, right? It can mean all these things. It can mean all these things. And your mind is just like, bah, 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 bah. And personally, the way that I grew up with the models of relationships that I saw, well, they weren't the healthiest of relationships. So building relationships with people has been a major focus of the last few years of my life because I frankly needed to get better at it. And so this is going to be all about relationshiping today, relationshiping and love. And I'm going to unpack a few things here. And because as I've gone through this week, as I've gone through all of these feelings, all of the resistance that comes up when you start stepping out into something new, and the resistance is going to come up because, in fact, when you make a decision to change, right, you are now pointed in a new direction. And the map that you had before from your past no longer is applicable because before you were driving around trying to get to California with a map that only shows you how to go east. I'm assuming you're in Michigan. That's right. But wherever you are, same thing, we all do it. And as you take this new map, whoo, it's exhilarating. It's exhilarating. It is exhilarating. But here's where you get to practice your values of trust, right? You get to practice your values of courage. You get to practice your values of braving. And I'm going to unpack again what braving is because I think that this is really important. I think that this is really important because whether it's your mailman whether it's your friend, whether it's your partner, whether it's your children, whether it's your parents, whether it's your grandparents, cousins, uncles, blah, 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 whatever, however many relationships we can create, right? There's no cap on creating relationships. We just, the only limitations that exist are the ones that we put on ourselves. So let's unpack love first, because this is a word in our society. I don't think that people have taken time to sit down and define what love means to them. Because if you're choosing to walk in the way of love, and I choose to walk in the way of love, love can either attract people or it can terrify people. But if it terrifies them and it's true love, then the only thing that is coming up is resistance that has shown up that isn't aligned with your true self, because your true essence is love. You are a love life force. You are a love light source. So anything it's I'm going to be so bold and state this, that anything that isn't unconditional isn't in the way of true love. I think I said that right. But we're going to unpack love here anyway. I think I said that. But we'll sit with that. We'll sit with that and see how that feels. But I want to read you the definition. And again, this love pack, man, this love pack. I am so grateful for Chuck Spezzano. And I might actually write him a letter if he is still around. This is a pretty old deck, but if Chuck Spezzano is around, I'm going to put the message out to him, because I would love to let him know how much this has impacted my life and how this is going to impact thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So it already is. So I'd love to tell him I said thank you and that I'm super grateful. This helps us build a bridge, right? This helps us build a bridge to communication, because one of the things that I've noticed in society is that people are losing the ability to communicate. They're losing the ability to communicate. Sometimes some people just grunt at me. Now, in the right setting, that could be okay. But, when it's in line with, hey, how's your day? And somebody just grunts at you, it's just a reflection of how difficult it is for people to connect with their true selves and communicate in a way that aligns with themselves. So I see people catching a snag here quite a bit. And we often use words like love, and I can say, I love you. And that has a whole completely different meaning to you than it may to me. And I see this all the time. We assume that our definitions are understood by everybody. And the only way that we have defined our definitions is through our own personal, unique experiences. So when you're working at relationshiping with people, right? Let's unpack some of these definitions. And if you agree to build bridges together, because I think it's important. I think it's important when you want to relationship with somebody in some way that you build a good foundation. Without that foundation, right, there's divorce, there's animosity, there's revenge, there's jealousy, there's maliciousness. There's all those things that come up, right? When we've had love and we've lost love and we blame love, that's where a lot of those things come from. But that's not our true way. That's not our true way. And that's not That's not love. That's not love. So hopefully that got out. All right. So love brings joy and meaning to life. The love we give and the love we receive being abundant happiness. Hold on. The love we give and the love we receive bring abundant happiness. Love is giving, sharing, reaching out, unlocking, and offering ourselves to someone. In our giving of love, we open ourselves to receive love even when our heart has been previously closed. And this is a big one. And I actually am being very called. So hang on. Ooh, super conscious and heart conscious are taking a turn with this, but I'm here for it. All right. So love, right? As I unpack this definition, what is an expression? What does a true expression of yourself look like when you take an act in love? Because I think we put different relationships on different pedestals as being better or worse when the foundation is the same, right? The foundation is the same. And when you can look at, okay, what are my acts of love? Well, my acts of love when I'm in love with a relationship, and I fall in love in lots of relationships. I try and fall in love with everybody that I meet. I do. I try and fall in love with everybody that I meet. So my acts of love are smiling. My acts of love are singing country songs. My acts of love are massage and touch. That is a language of mine that I give. I give the gift of love to other people. Now, not everybody is open to receiving love, and most people are shut off, have shut off and disconnected from their true selves because of this, right? So these two, right? This is all one, right? Just different sides, different perceptions. And so when we are walking in the way of our fear, what does that look like? What kind of actions does that look like? For me, those kind of actions are second guessing myself, doubting myself, not showing up, right? Hiding, needing to prove, not rumination, push, right? Push, control. Uh, those are the acts of fear. When I'm in fear, those are my acts of fear. What are yours? And you can do this, and this is what's so cool about this, is because when you really think about it, most people really haven't thought about it. Can you see that being a major disconnect in our society today? Well, what if we just bridge that connection, and we bridge that connection with our communication? And this is something that I have been practicing all week. And this is why I'm super excited that super conscious is bringing us here, because baby, this is what is needed in the world, right? This is how we can step up into our light. This is how we can step up into our love. And this is how we can truly shine and uplift the world, right? We're uplifting the world by uplifting ourselves and recognizing and realizing that our true essence is made of love. It's made of love. I love this. I'm so here for this ride. Okay, hopefully I can read this though. These are tiny, tiny little letters. Love is unconditional, not personal or special, but extends itself to everyone in the same way. Love in the final essay describes who we are and how we create. To have healed enough so we recognize our essence of love is to live in adventures of ever ascending experiences of joy. Ever ascending spirit experiences of joy. I love that. Love is the basis of every good feeling and opens us up to find a true love partner for life. Love is the ultimate healer and the ultimate source of all that makes us happy. To live a life full of love is the closest we can come to an earthly paradise. This arising is an indicative of a heart opening experience in which you give or receive love. This card states you will feel others' love, your own love, or heaven's love for you, and that it will move you forward. This love overcomes obstacles. I'm going to say this love illuminates obstacles by melting that separation, fear, and judgment that have brought them about, replacing them with grace and ease. Love puts everything in its true perspective and opens you to experience connection in new ways, new energetic ways. Unity, and then finally renews oneness with everyone and everything. Being whole now, being whole in this moment. Because you are the creative force of love. And by teaching yourself how to love, you come to truly love yourself and others as lovable and deserving of all good things. Since love is your true reality, if you remove the obstacles to love, you will find its presence. How is that? How is that unpacking? Yeah, that's just a juicy place where I want to live. Just a juicy place where I want to live and what I want to practice on a daily basis. And everything on my path has been directing me towards love, from love. That's why the story of Ryan is so powerful. And if you don't know the story of Ryan was Ryan. I met Ryan in high school. I don't remember when, but he was my love. He was my light. He was my sunshine. We never had a physical relationship, but we were completely in love with each other. Completely in love with each other. And we practiced a lot of presence with each other so that we were there. Like we sucked the marrow out of every moment. That was one of our favorite things to do together. And it wasn't just special to me. That was just how Ryan showed up in the world. And on his 20th death day anniversary, um I got to experience a whole new kind of love when his cousin launched a party for Ryan. I got to go to this party. I got to step out in my courage. I got to step out in the way of just being bold and just being me. And through that, on that night, I got to meet Ryan's heart recipient, Kevin, and I had the courage to ask him if I could put my hand on his chest so I could feel Ryan's heartbeat. Because one of the things I still, every time I have every time I think of Ryan, I want to put my hand over my heart. That is where hugging your heart came from as well. When I was super anxious, when I didn't know the way and I didn't know the how, and I was right in the midst of all of my resistance, and it felt dark and it felt lonely and I was terrified and it was scary and everything was shifting and everything changed. I just had to put my hand over my heart. And I started with 10 minutes in the morning. 10 minutes in the morning changed my life. And I just thought about Ryan. And I thought about that night. And I thought about his ripple effect. And I thought about his acts of kindness. And I thought about his impact on people. And I saw how their eyes lit up when they talked about him, and how everybody else, when they talked about Ryan, they would also put their hand over their heart. And I was like, Ryan was love. And so before I had accepted that I was this love force within me, I knew that I could follow Ryan and I could follow the light. Because in that moment that I put my hand on his heart and felt his heartbeat, Ryan passed me a message. In the space between heartbeats, he passed me a message. He passed me a vision. And the vision is coming to fruition. It starts with the story, and then it goes with the book. And when I went to go to Ryan's grave the other day, and I was standing out there, and now I know that Ryan's not at his grave, but I like to go and honor his grave. Right? I like to go and honor it. And so I did, and I was in the area and I was feeling very called to go there. And I just so happened to have a ride that led me over there, which was awesome. As I was talking to him and I was kind of walking around, just kind of like the grass and everything like that, I found this in the dirt. I was like, thanks, Ryan. My heart. Thank you. And this has just been such a wild ride. Yeah, it's just been such a wild ride. And one of the things that is the reason that all this magic is starting to come together, and the light is starting to shine on, and your light is starting to shine on as you step into this work and you allow yourself to get brighter and brighter. This is how we change the world. This is how we change the world, and we do it one act of love at a time. Now that may seem small and it's insignificant, but it's the 2-inch domino. It really is the 2-inch domino. So if you're just starting out and you're brand new, right? A great place to start is putting your hand over your heart, setting a timer for 10 minutes in the morning, and doing the hugging your heart exercise. There's several things that are going on in your body when this happens. Your brain chemistry starts to change. Your physiology starts to change. And you immediately get out of your head and you get into your heart. And it's like, whew. If you can just imagine yourself like dropping down into your heart, like there's some great energy there. There's some great energy there. And as you start to put your attention and intention towards connecting with your heart, as you already are doing, you can just begin to notice, what comes up. And creates a really safe place for you to illuminate that resistance. Your brain is probably going to go batshit crazy at first. That's okay. That's part of the process. It's the monkey mind, right? It's to notice, it's to not get entangled. And this allows you to do that. This allows you to stay here. And you can just be the witnesser of your thoughts because you are not your thoughts. But what'll start to happen is as you start to practice this, as you start to biochemically start to change your body, and when you do this first thing in the morning, you are most tapped into your unconscious within 30 minutes of waking up. So that's why this is the Kung Fu kick, right? That's why this is the Kung Fu kick. And when you put your attention on something, attention energizes. So you're also just boosting that, right? Boosting the energy, and intention transforms. So putting your hand over your heart is the path to least resistance. Because when you choose to create a life you love, when you choose to the end result of health and vitality, when you choose the end result of living your true nature and purpose, when you choose the end result of being the primary creator in your life, right? You've now changed your focus forward. We're going to juice it with your energy. And when these gophers come up, because depending on how you were conditioned, depending on who you had the privilege of growing up with and experiencing, um, you know, the different gophers are going to come up, but they all come up from the same place. And so just know that what's in the way is the way, right? It's the way. And this is where tapping into our heart consciousness and our super consciousness can help kind of smooth over those gophers. But this gives you a really great place to start doing that. And this is going to help you cultivate that love energy. And through this experience, what I've been able to really embrace is that if I believe personally, if I believe that God is love, and I believe that we are the creative spirit that lives within, that's the force of love, then we are all gods in disguise, right? The human body is the disguise. But I can look at you and recognize the God within you and love you because we're all one. We're all one. We all came from the same creative spirit, the same whole of love. And that's why love can feel like everything. Because when you are having a human experience, you may define love as, opening your heart to somebody and getting crushed. You may define love as a one night stand. And we're back. Camera one. Oh, techie tech tech. Life isn't about what happens to us. It's about the meaning that we assign to it. And at any time, at any moment in your life, you can learn a new meaning. You can learn a new meaning. And that's what I really, really, really hope, and that's my intention for what comes out of this. Because when you start to upgrade your meetings, when you start to look for the gift, when you start to see the God in the other person, and you recognize the God in yourself, right? That's when you start to activate your magic. And I want to paint this little picture for you because the elephant is such a beautiful metaphor for the way the elephant with the, chain to the post is such a beautiful metaphor. So for how we limit ourselves with our invisible thinking, right? We limit ourselves with those invisible chains, and we've just mistaken our thoughts for truths, and it's not true. Our unconscious is a yes man, like it just wants to say yes. So we have to program it with the right questions, because whatever questions that we give it, it'll say yes, which I found very interesting. But the elephant, I heard this, I don't know if it's a parable or it's a story, of the man riding the elephant. And the elephant goes wherever the elephant wants to go because it's an elephant. And the man riding the elephant has very little control over where that elephant wants to go because it's an elephant. So the moral of this parable was in context to communication and communicating with people, was speaking when you want to speak to people, right? If you truly want to know somebody, if you truly want to have a relationship with somebody, and this stuck with me ever since, don't speak to the man, speak to the elephant. And that changed my life. That changed my life. And that changed because that up leveled my communication. That up leveled my communication skills. So, whatever relationships you're creating in your life, relationships, family relationships, pet relationships, because they're right, our fur babies are included in our relationshiping as well. Um, because all relationships are an opportunity for us to express love. So acquaintances, but here's where you can really step into the primary creator of your life as well, is that you get to choose those relationships. You get to choose. You get to choose those relationships. And you get to create the life, whatever life you want. And coming from a place of it's not good or bad or better. No, it's just a different choice. And one thing I'm really learning from Chris, when this resistance comes up, because it's going to come up, I have a prime example for it coming up this week. How many recode sessions did I have? Because there were lots and lots of gophers. Um, you are a whole being. You are a whole creator. You get to choose. You're sitting in that restaurant with a menu, in the best restaurant with the best chefs in the entire universe, and you get to choose what you want to taste right now. There is no limitation. Right now, you get to order what you want and create it. It's our most powerful form of creative expression. So choose. Choose with your attention, choose with your intention, choose with your action, and choose. And what's so cool about this is when I got this, I had a lot of resistance to creating this and that. I was walking around thinking this or that. Like I could only have this or that. I could only love this or this. And I think that this came from a place of me having to choose between parents all the time, I think. And maybe it went back even further than that, but that's the kind of choice. Like as a child, like the worst choice that you can place on yourself is to have to choose between a parent. And I had like it was not pleasant, not pleasant. But I think that little girl who made the choices that she did at the times that she did with the best with what she had at the time because she made some pretty powerful decisions as a wee little one, and she did the best she could with what she had, and all my parts have and all your parts have too. And so when the resistance comes up, we can focus back our focal point. We can focus back on our focal point of love. We can focus back on our focal point of creating a life that we love. What does that look like? And then continuing to take the aligned action to get there. That's the way that we manifest and as creative spirits. Um Now I want to give you guys some questions because as new relationships coming up in my life right now, personal relationships, professional relationships, I I have the same foundational questions. Um, and I thought as some of these monkeys were coming up this week, I was like, why are you afraid to ask those questions? Because there was loss around it, there was rejection around it. Those were some of the monkeys that came up for me this week. And um but through looking at that, through the process of letting those go, shining a light on them, illuminating them, seeing where they came from, just all parts want to be seen and heard. Right. So I just spent some extra time noticing them, noticing that they were coming up, and changing the relationship with them, changing the relationship with these parts, because as relationships outside of you, the best relationships that you can create are the relationships inside of you, right? You change the world within you, you change the world around you when you change the world within you. So I'm constantly transforming these relationships with parts as they come up if the parts are not in the way of the aligned future that I'm creating, right? They come up as resistance. And when you change the relationship with these parts and you give them a promotion because they are your most loyal fans, right? Their intention was to keep you safe, to keep you loved, to keep you belonging. And they did their job and they've done their job your whole life. And they have been just hanging on tooth and nail with the intention to keep you alive. So let's celebrate them. Let's celebrate them and promote them because they did they did their job. They did their job. And we can begin to love them in a new way. And when we love our parts in a new way, new opportunity opens up, new paths opens up, new experiences open up, new flavors, new tastes open up, right? And that's the juice of life. That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. So I wanted to end with some questions as you are going through shifting in your transformation, because everything around you, when you shift, everything around you is going to shift too, and it's going to reorganize. So that's part of the process. Just keep focusing forward, aligning with your action and taking the action, focusing forward, getting in the feeling, taking the aligned action, right? Just noticing what comes up, using these processes to help you as the resistance arises, because the resistance is going to rise. But what's in the way is the way. Remember that. So as these gopher hole comes up and they start to block your light and they start to get in front of you, what I want you to do is, how can I give this part in front of me love right now? And you can say thank you. You can be grateful for them. We have an unlimited amount of gratitude that lives within us. And gratitude helps us transform into love. Because true gratitude, if somebody has ever expressed gratitude for you and you have been open to receiving it, isn't it one of the most beautiful feelings in the world? Yeah, a lot of people are disconnected from receiving it, right? And they're giving from a false place. They're giving from a false place of expectation, control, manipulation, the problem structure. But when you give from a place of unconditional, your life truly transforms. Your life truly transforms, because now you truly get to count your blessings. And you have hundreds of thousands of blessings. And I truly believe that when you walk in the way of your love, your creation, your true expression, you walk in the way of your magic. Yeah. See, okay, wow, I'm doing really, really good on time. This is awesome. Okay, so let me give you my foundational questions that I am practicing this week as I start to cultivate all these new relationships, because I wanted a guideline and I wanted a map. And fortunately, I've had a really amazing person to be able to practice these questions with, to to really hone hone in building my solid foundation, because I really, it's time for me to build some rock solid relationships. Right, some rock solid relationships, and it's happening already. And whether this is spoken or unspoken, these are the questions that I'm asking and that I'm getting to know of the people that I choose to surround myself with currently. First one is, what do you want to create? What do you want to create? So that has to be answered. And where you start out is not where you end up. So just start with what you have with where you are. You may be able to see things, hear things. You may not be able to see things, hear things. But the meditation, the orientational choices, is such a good practice for this, because it's going to help you on the creative process. And let me just tell you, when I started creating, I didn't see anything. I was like, I don't know, like I kind of feel stuff, because, like I can feel stuff, because I've always been, somebody that feels stuff. That's pretty much how I started out. But now, because I have been practicing every day, like, I can taste, I can smell, I can feel. It is getting juicy. It is getting so juicy, and I love it. I love it, because everything in your life is created twice. It's created here, and it's created when you birth it into life. Cool, huh? It's, it's just blowing my mind, or all right, second question. Who do you want to become? You can either choose to be the oldest version of your past self, or you can choose to be the youngest version of your future self. But in order to do that intentionally, you have to intentionally decide who you want to become. What do they look like? How do they act? What values do they walk in? And then when that resistance comes up, a question that will get you through that resistance is, what would that future me do? Right? Because in order to become that person, you need to have certain beliefs. You need to take certain actions in order to become a person. That's why creating a future identity is crucial. You have to have a future focal point. And then what values? What values do you want to walk in? What values do you want to practice? And I go through this literally step by step in the book of all of these different ways that you can practice walking in your values. And then last, this is my next step, is, can we build a bridge of braving together? And unpacking and defining what braving means, right? Because trust is built not all or nothing, right? There is no all or nothing. We are expansive, we are limited. And how do we expand, right? We expand step by step. And so I often look at relationshiping as building bridges with people. And I want to build bridges with people that are willing and ready and committed to showing up to building these, I'm going to say boundaries, because it comes from Brene Brown's, she got it from one of her teachers, but the braving comes from something that I heard from her. And to me, it's a bridge, because as you've heard me talk about who's sitting in your front row, if you don't have anybody sitting in your front row, including yourself, because you haven't really been, I want to say earn the right, because when I talk about people sitting in your front row, be in your front row by earning the right to be there, and do it through this braving bridge, because braving is an understanding of boundaries, reliability, accountability, vault, integrity, non-judgment, and genuine. Now, my bridge may look a little different, but in relationships that I choose to build and co-create with in my life, right, we're going to be taking those steps towards each other. And we're going to have some guideposts that are going to help us to get there. And when there is resistance that comes up, when there are choices that are made that don't align with building that bridge, if both parties choose to show up and choose to work on this bridge together, now you've got some solid foundation to say, it's not you, right? It's your action that's not in the way of non-judgment or reliability or accountability or genuine, right? Then it's the action. Because so many times relationships don't work out because both people, right, have a million different parts that are have all these stories and judgments and definitions and labels and their own language, basically. And we try to come together and we expect that that person totally should understand our language without communicating it, because we have a lot of expectations of people. And it's just because we really haven't unpacked it in ourselves that causes us to live in our ego conscious, our self conscious. And most people are living in their self conscious. Most people don't even understand that a different consciousness exists. They don't even know yet. That's why we're here. We're going to start educating. But when you live in your self-conscious, right, the ego loves to take everything personally. The ego is I'm right, you're wrong. I. When you're out of the ego, one thing that I always loved about the heart is, if the ego is the I, or if the ego is the me, the heart is the we, right? And so it's not about me, it's about we, because tide rises all boats. Tide rises all boats. And we're so much stronger together. And it's just an awakening process to understanding that we're all connected and that we're all this amazing force of love within us. So I know I went deep, but I am loving playing in the layers, you guys. This has been such a beautiful unfolding of opportunity, of experiences, of new emotional languages that I am having the time of my life exploring in, because this is my world. Right? This is my world. This is where I love to play. And when you start giving yourself permission to play, when you start really like taking that jar off the lid, and you allow yourself to start dreaming, and it's not just putting your attention, it's not just giving your intention, it's actually taking the action and follow through, like that is going to lead you to the path of a lifetime. And what's so cool about my book is I am going to share the hero's journey that I went through, that I'm still going through with you, and the different phases of the journey, so that if you have awoken on the hero's journey, you're like, oh shit, now what do I do? Right? Just know that when you're ready, the teacher appears, right? The lesson appears. So be open to receiving, notice everything, entangle with nothing, and start answering those questions for yourself. Start answering those questions for yourself. And before you start building a bridge with other people, it's like the unbreakable bridge of trust, right? Because somebody can, let's say, violate a rule that I have about boundaries, or somebody can violate a rule that I have about reliability. And I don't have to be like, oh, you're such a horrible person, you suck, you're just an asshole, blah, 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 blah. I don't have to do that. Because I know it's not you. Like, it's an action, right? It's a decision. But those decisions are filtered from your experience and your reality. And I now have a way to communicate with you to say, hey, are you showing up in the, you wanted to build this bridge together? Are you showing up in the way of reliability? Are you showing up in the way of accountability? Are you showing up in the way of boundaries? Whatever they are for you, right? That's why this is such a beautiful bridge. And then, because the other thing is too, is the people that are not for you, right? They're not going to want to put in that work. And it's okay to just allow them to fall away, because not everybody is for you. And that's okay. That's the whole, right? So let people fall away as they need to. And you'll know that they fall away because they'll stop showing up. They'll just stop showing up. And so this is where your boundaries come into play, right? Like, somebody can have unlimited chances with me, because I've not shown up a lot in my life, right? I've gone through this loop a lot in my life. And if they don't show up, I don't need to take it personally because I'm focused on what I am creating in the life that I love. And so they're not showing up doesn't doesn't affect me personally. I am a whole person. And I know that they have their own path and they're a super conscious creator as well, right? We all are. We all are. We may be the primary creators in our life, but we're not the only creators in our life. So give people the opportunity to not show up. They're going to a lot. It's part of the process. And actually, when you allow them the space to just not show up, what the thing might have actually needed was the space to transform into something at a higher level. And it may come back into your life in a new way if it's meant to. So if you're holding on too tightly to relationships, if you're holding on too tightly to something, that actually ends up being what keeps you away from it. Does that make sense? So also think about your relationships with money. We may do a money relationship exercise because a lot of us have a lot of meaning and a lot of monkeys in our relationship with money. A lot of us have that tied to our worth as well. So, all right, you guys, that is today's lesson. Bam, super conscious, heart conscious, did it again. I had no idea what was going to come up for today. And I'm so glad that love and relationships were the theme. And I'm so glad that I trusted and listened to my intuition because this is gold, baby. This is gold. And this can be a foundation that you build your life on that is unconditional and unshakable. How does that sound? All right, you guys, as always, I love you from my heart to yours. And I can't wait to see how this continues to unfold.